Look at your hair right now. Not in a mirror, in a photo from the last 6 months. A real one taken in natural light, when you weren't posing. Does that haircut lift you? Or does it weigh you down? Most women never ask that question. They just keep going back to the same stylist, saying the same words, getting the same result. And slowly, without anyone naming it, the haircut starts doing something quiet and cruel. It starts adding years instead of subtracting them. Not because of gray, not because of thinning, because of shape, because of line, because of the specific way light hits a cut that was designed for a different face, at a different time in your life. Here is the thing that changes everything once you understand it. Your face at 60 is a different face than it was at 40. Not worse, different. The jawline has shifted slightly. The way volume sits has changed. The places where light catches and where shadow falls are not the same as they were 2 decades ago. And a haircut that was designed without accounting for those changes, no matter how skillfully executed, is working against you. Not because of anything you did wrong, because nobody told you the rules had changed. Today, I am going to show you 6 haircuts that actually work for women over 60. Not because they are trendy, not because a celebrity wore one last season, because of the way they interact with the natural changes your face goes through after 60, the softening jawline, the shift in volume, the way the eye moves differently across a more mature face. These 6 cuts use shape, line, and structure to do in 45 minutes what no serum, no filter, and no procedure can replicate. No dye required, no surgery, not a single product you do not already own. Just the right cut and the right hands, and the knowledge to ask for it correctly. I am counting down from number 6 to number 1. And I need you to stay for number 1 because that is the cut I have seen change more women's lives than anything else I have ever recommended. The before and afters are almost unbelievable until you understand exactly why it works. And I am going to explain every detail of that at the end. Every single step of the geometry. Because once you understand the why, you will never sit down in a salon chair the same way again. But first, I want to tell you something almost nobody in this space will say out loud. A bad haircut after 60 does not just make you look older. It makes you look like you have stopped. Like you handed yourself over to habit and said, "Fine, this is who I am now. This is as good as it gets." And you did not mean to say that. Nobody does. It just happens. One give me the usual appointment at a time. 1 year sliding quietly into the next, until one day you look at a photo and feel a small, sharp sting of not recognizing the woman looking back at you. That sting is important. It means something in you still knows the difference. It means you have not actually stopped. It means you are ready to stop settling. And I am here to tell you, the difference is closer than you think. It is, in most cases, one conversation with the right stylist and one specific request. That is all. Let us figure out exactly what that request should be. Let us start the countdown. Number 6. The textured crop. Most women hear the word crop and immediately think severe, masculine, too much. And I understand that instinct, because most crops they have seen were exactly that, stiff, unforgiving, cut without any softness built in. So they stay away from anything short and safe, play their way into a longer style that does nothing for them. Here is what they are missing. A textured crop is not a pixie. It is something more refined. The back tapers cleanly to show off the neck and the jaw, 2 areas that define elegance at any age. The top keeps enough length and internal texture to create real height and lift at the crown, right where most of us start losing volume first. And the front pieces stay soft enough to frame the face without ever looking harsh. If your hair has been sitting flat at the crown for years, the textured crop is often the answer you did not know existed. Short hair with the right internal cutting technique can create an illusion of thickness that longer hair simply cannot manufacture. The physics of it are different. Short hair pushes up. Longer hair pulls down. Gray hair loves this cut. Natural silver and white hair has more grip, more texture, more natural wave than color-treated hair. That means it holds this shape beautifully, sometimes without any product at all. If you have been holding onto color because you felt like gray limited your options, this cut is proof that it does not. In some ways, going gray opens styling doors that color closes. Face shape matters here too. If you have a rounder face, ask your stylist for more volume through the crown to elongate vertically. If your face is longer or more angular, soft fringe pieces around the forehead will balance and warm everything up. This is not a one-size cut. A good stylist will personalize it in the first 2 minutes of your consultation. Styling is genuinely simple. A small amount of cream or pomade between your fingertips, raked through the top and swept slightly to one side. That is it. No boudoir marathon. No round brush acrobatics. Just effortless, intentional shape every single morning. But here is what I need you to hear before we move to number 5. The textured crop gives you freedom. Number 5 gives you something different. It gives you movement. And movement after 60 is one of the most youthful things a woman can wear. Number 5. The soft shag. I want you to think for a moment about every haircut you have seen that looked stiff, dated, helmet-like. What did they all have in common? One shape. One round, unbroken, static silhouette. A shape the eye reads in 1 second and immediately categorizes as old. Now think about the opposite of that. The soft shag does not have one shape. It has layers that move in different directions, shorter pieces at the crown that create lift, longer pieces at the perimeter that frame the face with softness and movement. When you turn your head, the hair moves with you. When light hits it, it catches differently at every angle. The eye cannot read it in one glance because it keeps shifting. And anything that keeps the eye moving reads as more dynamic, more alive, more youthful. This is not a trend cut. The principles behind it are permanent. Diagonal and vertical lines lift. Horizontal lines and round shapes drop. That is not fashion. That is geometry. The soft shag works especially well with curtain bangs, the kind that part naturally in the middle of the forehead and sweep softly to each side. Those pieces draw the eye directly toward your eyes and your cheekbones, which is exactly where you want attention landing. They can soften a prominent forehead. They can camouflage lines if that matters to you. And they frame the face in a way that feels romantic without being overdone. When you ask your stylist for this cut, be specific. You want short to long layering with the shortest pieces concentrated at the crown and gradually longer lengths moving toward the perimeter. If your stylist cuts the shag in one straight even line all the way around, stop them. That is not a shag. That is a round cut with a misleading name. The real shape is carved with a razor or a point cutting technique, never blunt shears straight across. Here is the part that surprises most women. The soft shag can look completely different with almost zero effort. Air dried with a little curl cream, it has a relaxed, effortless softness. Blown dry with a diffuser, it has more volume and body. Flat ironed for a special occasion, it falls in soft, modern waves. Very few cuts give you that much range from a single underlying shape. Now, number 5 gives you movement. Number 4 is about something more specific. It is for the woman who is not ready to go shorter but is tired of her length doing absolutely nothing for her face. And I see this more than almost anything else. Beautiful women with beautiful hair and a length that is quietly working against every single one of their features. Number 4. The Modern Lob. Lob stands for long bob. It typically sits somewhere between the chin and the collarbone, and in the right hands, it is one of the most flattering haircuts a woman over 60 can have. In the wrong hands, it looks exactly like the dated, flat, shapeless haircut you were trying to leave behind. The difference is entirely in what happens underneath the surface. A modern lob has a blunt perimeter, a clean, sharp edge at the bottom. But underneath that edge, the internal weight is quietly removed. Not with visible layers scattered across the top. Not with chunky graduation you can see from across the room. but with careful internal thinning that removes bulk without ever touching that clean bottom line, that blunt edge does something remarkable. It catches light along its entire length, making the hair look fuller, glossier, and more hydrated than it actually is. It is almost like a filter built directly into the cut. Women with significantly thinned hair tell me this every time the lob makes their hair look healthier than it has in years. Without a single product change, styling versatility is another reason this cut earns its place so high on this list. Sleek and straight for a polished day, tousled with texturizing spray for a relaxed weekend, softly waved for an evening out. The same underlying shape serves all three looks, which means you can get more mileage out of a single haircut than almost any other length. One small styling detail that changes everything. Tuck one side behind the ear and let the other side sweep forward across the cheek. That tiny asymmetry, barely visible, barely intentional looking, makes the whole cut feel more modern, more dynamic, more expensive. It is the difference between a haircut and a look. Now, the lob is beautiful. But number 3 is where we get into something that requires a conversation, because most women over 60 have been told the opposite of what I am about to say. And I want you to really hear this next part. Number 3. Soft waves with strategic layers. Here is the backwards truth that stops most women cold when I tell them in the salon chair. Adding layers to thinning hair does not make it look thinner. Removing layers is what makes it look thinner. Flat, one-length hair on a woman over 60 reads as dense when it is not, because flat hair lies close to the scalp and makes every gap in density visible. But layers create movement and dimension, and movement is the single greatest optical illusion in haircutting. Let me say that one more time because it matters. Movement is the greatest optical illusion in haircutting. Soft waves with strategic layers work on almost every texture: straight, wavy, slightly coarse, color-treated, natural gray. The layers are placed specifically around the areas where density has decreased, not scattered randomly across the whole head. A skilled stylist thinks of those layers as a styling tool built directly into the cut. They are not decoration. They are architecture. The waves themselves do not need to be tight. In fact, tight curls after 60 often work against you. They shrink the hair's length and can make the face look rounder. What you want are soft, loose waves that fall naturally. Think of the difference between a wave cresting on a beach and a spring coiled tight in a box. One is alive, one is rigid. You want the beach. To style this at home. A large barrel curling iron or a wand, held horizontally, wrapping the hair loosely and releasing it before it cools. One detail that most stylists skip: telling you start the curl 2 inches down from the root. Never at the root itself. Volume lives at the root and should stay free. The wave starts below it. That 2-inch difference gives you lift at the crown and movement through the length, which is the exact combination that makes this cut look so effortlessly full. We are at the halfway point now, and I want to reopen something I planted at the beginning. Number 1 is still coming. And if you are wondering how a haircut with no dye and no surgery can genuinely look like something more dramatic, I am going to show you the exact mechanics of it at the end. Stay with me, because the explanation alone is worth the rest of this video. But first, number 2. And this is where I want to tell you about Patricia. Patricia came to see me 14 months ago. She was 67 years old and she had been wearing the same haircut for over a decade. Not because she loved it, not because it made her feel anything, because she had been told by multiple stylists across multiple years that her face shape and her hair texture gave her limited options. She had heard it so many times that she had stopped questioning it. She believed it. She sat down in my chair and said, almost apologetically, "I know there is not much you can work with here. I want you to hear what I said to her, because I say some version of this to women every single week. There is always something to work with. Always. The question is never your hair. The question is never your face shape or your texture or your age. The question is always the shape of the cut. That is the variable. That is the thing we can change today." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Nobody has ever said that to me before." I gave her the number to cut on today's list. The cut I am about to describe to you. Within 3 weeks, she had received more compliments than she remembered getting in the previous 5 years. Her daughter called and asked if she had done something to her face. Her daughter-in-law asked for the name of her surgeon, genuinely believing she had had some kind of procedure. Her sister drove 40 minutes to find out who her stylist was. Patricia sent me a message about a month after the appointment, and I still think about it regularly. She said, "I stopped walking past mirrors. I started stopping at them." That is what the right haircut actually does. Not just to your appearance, to the small private moments of your daily life, to the way you stand in a room, to the half-second pause before you look away from your own reflection. Number 2. The Pixie Bob, sometimes called the Pixie. This cut lives exactly in the space between a traditional pixie and a proper bob. The nape is clean, tapered, close, giving you the lifted, elegant back of a pixie. But the front keeps enough length to soften the face, frame the jawline, and give you something to sweep and style rather than just sit there. The key detail is asymmetry. A longer, sweeping fringe angled across the forehead creates a diagonal line, and diagonal lines are always more flattering than perfectly horizontal or perfectly round ones. That diagonal draws the eye upward and across, which creates the visual impression of a more sculpted, more lifted face without touching a single feature. Gray hair is genuinely made for this cut. The natural texture of silver and white hair gives the Pixie Bob built-in personality and body that color-treated hair sometimes has to work hard to manufacture. You are not fighting your texture here. You are collaborating with it. Let the natural wave and grip of your gray hair do half the work, and let the cut do the other half. Styling is refreshingly fast. A small amount of styling cream, raked through slightly damp hair, directed forward and to one side. Let it air dry or use a diffuser for a little extra volume at the roots. The cut itself is doing the heavy lifting. Your job is just to not get in its way. And now, number 1. I told you at the beginning that this cut is the one I have seen change more women's lives than anything else I have ever recommended. I did not say that for drama. I said it because it is the most requested, most talked about, most life-altering result I see in my work, and the reason it works is not magic. It is geometry. And once I explain the geometry to you, you will understand immediately why this specific cut does what nothing else can replicate. Number 1. The architectural bob. I want you to imagine a line. A single, clean, horizontal line drawn at the jaw or just below it. That line, when it exists in a haircut, does something to the human face that I find genuinely remarkable every time I see it. It acts as a visual boundary. The eye lands on that line, stops, and everything above it, your eyes, your cheekbones, your jawline, reads as structured, lifted, defined. Not because anything changed. Because the cut gave the eye somewhere to land, and the face above it appears sharper by contrast. This is the architectural bob. And that bottom edge is its entire reason for existing, the mistake most stylists make with this cut. And it is an extremely common mistake, is adding visible layers on top in an attempt to add movement and prevent it from looking heavy. That is exactly how you end up with a round, mushroom-shaped silhouette instead of the sharp, clean architecture you came in asking for. The movement and the airiness in this cut should be invisible. It comes from internal thinning underneath the surface, weight removed quietly from inside, never from the perimeter, never from the top. The distinction is everything. The bottom edge stays full, strong, unbroken. The inside is lighter than it looks. The result is a cut that has the structure and precision of something architectural and the lightness and movement of something completely effortless. Blunt ends also reflect light differently than feathered or layered ends. They catch it cleanly along their full length, which makes the hair read as glossier, healthier. and more polished even on a day when you have done almost nothing to it. This is the cut that looks good in natural light, in photos, on camera, in a restaurant under fluorescent office lighting. It is one of the very few haircuts that is genuinely flattering in every light. Styling needs almost nothing. A round brush and a bloudier to create a slight inward bend under the ends, or a flat iron for a completely sleek finish, or, on a low-maintenance morning, simply let it air dry and the weight of the blunt perimeter will pull it into shape on its own. 3 different looks, 1 underlying cut, almost no effort, the length matters. At the jaw, it frames the face and creates the most dramatic lift effect. Slightly below the jaw, it is a little softer, a little more romantic. An inch or 2 above the jaw, it is sharper and more editorial. Where you land depends on your jawline, your neck length, and your personal taste, but all 3 versions work. What does not work is going too far below the collarbone, where the blunt line loses its relationship with the face and the architecture disappears. Before you leave this video, I want to give you 3 things to take into your very next salon appointment. These are not just tips. They are the questions that separate a stylist who cuts hair from a stylist who truly understands it. The first question: how will this cut work with my natural texture on a morning when I am not blow drying? A real stylist designs a cut for your real life, not for some version of your morning routine that requires 40 minutes and a round brush. If the answer is vague or uncomfortable, that is important information. The second question: where exactly are you going to build the lift, and how will you keep the silhouette from going round at the bottom? A stylist who understands shape will answer this with confidence and specificity. A stylist who does not will say something like, "Oh, it will be fine. Do not worry about that." The third question: how do you create movement and lightness inside this cut without breaking the clean perimeter? That question reveals whether your stylist knows how to work with internal thinning, razor technique, and point cutting, or whether they are going to give you one of the very shapes you came in trying to leave behind. And one final thing before you go. I said at the beginning that a bad haircut makes you look like you have stopped, like you handed yourself over to habit. I want to close with the other side of that. The right haircut says the opposite. It says I am still here. I am paying attention. I have not handed myself over to anything. It says I know who I am right now, not who I was 20 years ago, not some quieter, smaller version of me that stopped asking for what she actually wants. The right haircut does not just lift your face. It lifts your posture. It lifts the way you walk into a room. It lifts the moment you catch your own reflection in a shop window and do not immediately look away. You have spent a very long time taking care of other people, showing up for everyone else, fitting yourself around whatever space was left after everyone else's needs were met. This is something different. This is 4 inches of hair and the right line in the right place, and it is completely, entirely for you. You deserve that. Not someday. Not after you lose the weight or find the right occasion, or wait until something feels worth celebrating. Now, today. So I want you to do one thing before you close this video. Pull up your camera. Take a photo of yourself right now, in whatever light you are sitting in. Look at the shape of your haircut around your face. Does it create a line that lifts you? Does it frame your eyes and your cheekbones and draw the eye up? Or does it soften and round and disappear into your face without giving it anything? That answer tells you everything you need to know about your next salon appointment. And you already know the answer. Tell me in the comments which of these 6 cuts is calling to you. Or tell me the one your stylist talked you into that you wish you had never agreed to. Or tell me you are thinking about Patricia and what she said about mirrors. I read every single comment, every single one. And I want to hear from you. If this video spoke to you today, subscribe to 60 and Radiant right now before you click away. Because next week I am covering the 5 color mistakes that quietly age women over 60, the ones hiding in plain sight in almost every single salon in the country. and the specific fixes that take 10 years off without going any lighter than you already are. Some of those mistakes are so common I see them every single day, and once I point them out, you will not be able to stop noticing them. You will want to be here for that one. I will see you then.